This is my highly modified Polaris Express 400, and I'm going to the dunes this week, so I've got some really cool and rare parts to put on, and if you'll stick around, I'm going to bring you in for a closer look at just what we're working with. All right, these are the 4 things that we're going to be putting on today. So over here, we have a PWK 39, big carb. It's a big bore 2-stroke. I mean, I really think I should use a bigger carb, so I mean, why not? I don't want to run, I have a TMX 38, but apparently they get lean in the mid-range, and I really don't want to risk blowing it up. So we got that. And then to go with it, I actually got a TRX 90 throttle, which are supposed to be like, I don't know, everybody runs them, so I guess they're like pretty good. I'll let you know what I think about those. And then back in the day, HPD used to run a Snowmobile pull start, and I don't even use the starter on here anymore. So I think this will be easier because I've got pretty big hands, and it'll just make pull starting a little bit easier. And this is actually the really cool thing we have. It's an HPD steering stabilizer. So if you know anything about 400s, or like just the Polaris 400s in general, HPD parts are like worth their weight in gold. And this is one of those ones that I've never been able to get my hands on, and I finally got one. So I'm super excited to try that out because my 400 has horrible bump steer. So I'm really excited for that. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and start working on the steering stabilizer first, just because it's gonna need maybe some work. I'm gonna paint the brackets and everything, try and make it look a little nicer. So anyways, let's get started on that. All right, I went ahead and washed these things up. They look a lot better. This one's got some surface rust on it, but I think I'm just gonna have to live with it because I don't want to take the sticker off. But I did notice on the actual mounting bracket, if you look closer, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there's a crack starting right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this thing up with a wire wheel and then weld that up, and then we can just paint this thing. I learned my lesson with my pipe that you don't want to just let a crack sit there because my mounting bracket for my pipe, snapped in half. But anyways, I'm gonna start cleaning this thing up and then we can go ahead and paint it. Now that we have this thing cleaned up, we can go ahead and weld up that crack right there. So I'm gonna get my welder out and I'll get to it. Now, I don't have a welding table or anything like that, so I normally just sit on the floor. I don't know. I should probably get a better setup for this. Anyways, I'm gonna hit with some anti-spatter so I don't have beads all over this thing. Alright, here we go. Alright, rate the welds. I'm joking, don't. I'm like a horrible welder. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the plastics off so that way we can get to some of the other mods that I have planned for this thing. All right, it's got some fingerprints on it from my dirty hands, but bracket looks good. So now we can throw this thing on. So next I'm gonna go ahead and take this shroud off here because we actually need to access the fan mounting bolts to bolt up the bracket for the steering stabilizer. All right, so now you can see our two mounting bolts right here. And basically, we just take those off and put the bracket back on. And now we can put our bracket in place. Okay, that was extremely easy actually. But I do need to find one more bolt and nut to go down here. There's actually a pre-drilled hole in the frame, so that should be pretty easy. I'd say it's pretty solid. So now we can put our clamp on the steering stem. Also, just a quick note, because I was struggling trying to figure out how I mounted this thing, because everybody's brackets seem to be like the opposite of mine. I think that there were two different bracket options, one that mounted on the driver's side and then like mine that mounts on the passenger side. And I'm pretty sure if you have a driver's side one, it just mounts the same, except like on the other side. So if you're confused and you have one, that could be it. All right, so next up, we gotta actually mount the clamp on. And then I did go ahead and paint it up off camera. So I'm gonna go over to the other side because these bolts come in from the back. So anyways, I'm gonna put this thing on. For actually mounting the clamp onto the steering stem, it seems like it needs to be like just past, what would it be, 6 o'clock? I guess towards the passenger side, which you can kind of see right now. So that way you still have, like, it doesn't contact with anything whenever you turn all the way to the right. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is go over to the other side to actually tighten the bolts, and it's pretty tight getting in there, but I think it should go pretty easily. All right, the lighting situation was less than ideal, but I turned the flash on so maybe you guys can actually see what I'm doing here. All right, so now we can put the dampener in. That should just drop into place. Oh geez, it's kind of hard to get my hands in there. Well, I'm eating my words because I need to move the clamp up, so I guess it's not that easy. Or well, it is easy, but I overlooked this. So I'm gonna move the clamp up and I'll catch back up with you whenever I'm bolting this thing down. All right, I think that's the height I need more or less because I can't go any higher because of my race pipe. So that's just gonna have to work. And anyways, I'm gonna put the hardware on and I'll catch back up with you once it's finally mounted. So I went ahead and got all the hardware tightened up, and you're gonna have to ignore my super squeaky bushings on my shocks, but it is functioning. So anyways, that was pretty cool, I think. I'm hoping it'll make a pretty big difference out on the dunes, but I guess we'll see. So after installing the stabilizer, I was kind of like just shaking the bars back and forth. And honestly, I'm a little bit underwhelmed by the dampening, like in between, like you know, just whenever your handlebars are like straight forward. Because that's where I need it the most, like in the chop at the dunes, like where all the tire tracks are. So I don't know if I can't mount it like any other way on there to give the dampener better leverage on the, you know, the steering system. So I hope that makes a difference, because if not, you know, I'll be kind of disappointed. But anyways, just a quick note. I thought it might be interesting to some of you. I figured this would be kind of an easy project,
But I'm gonna go ahead and put this on here, basically just easier pole starting. So I think what I'll need to do is just cut that cord, pull it through, and then tie a new knot. It's pretty simple. But I'm gonna get some vice grips. So the oh, this is hot compression. I'm gonna get some vice grips and like clamp it onto the rope right here so it doesn't uncoil on me. And then we can cut the rope and put on our new handle. All right, got those clamped on there. So now we just gotta cut this off. I'm gonna try and cut this as close to the handle as possible because I don't want to lose any length. Ooh, I bumped into you. Trying to do this without cutting my finger off. All right, handle's off. So now we'll just need to fish it through our new one. Oh, that was pretty easy actually. Just pulls right through. And now I have to tie this into a knot. Well, hopefully it doesn't come undone, because that'd be extremely unfortunate. All right, that's a little bit ugly, I can't even lie. All right, I had an idea. I cut off the little plug piece that goes on here from the stock recoil, so that way it sits up like that instead of like flopping all over the place. So hopefully that will hold up. I don't know, I think that's a pretty good solution. There we go. Second mod is complete. I think that is much more comfortable and will be easier to pull start than the tiny little factory rubber one. Now we can go ahead and get to putting our PWK 39 on. So we need to pull this carb off. All right, I'm gonna try and get this carb on as quick as I can so maybe we can start this thing tonight. Take off my sick polished throttle. I'm kind of bummed out about that. Alright, throttle is off. Now I need to find where the wires to the throttle were going, so that way I can make sure we still have spark whenever I put the PWK and the TRX 90 throttle on. So there's one of them. Next one is way down in there. So it's solid white and red and white. Now I'll just have to pull this out of here. Oh no, looks like I'm gonna have to re-zip tie all my cables. So now pull this out of here. And our wiring is free. Hopefully we still have spark. Now I just need to take off our boot here. We should be able to just yank this thing out of here. Sweet. Oh. Alright, now going in with the PWK. I just put a little bit of lube around the edge. I'm told that if I do that, I can just slide. This doesn't sound good, but I'm told if I do that, I can just slide it in here without any issues. So we will see. Boy, people really weren't joking when they said, I'm just gonna take the intake boot off because I think that'll make this a lot easier. All right, let's see if I can get this thing on here. Okay, there's just like no way without at least getting that warmed up or something. Yeah, I fear that will be bad news if I don't at least warm it up. All right, I'm gonna go pour some boiling water on this thing and see if I can soften up the rubber, and then I'm gonna run back out here and try and push the carb in. I don't know what kind of unfortunate luck it is, but literally like as soon as I figured it out and got this thing in there, my camera ran out of storage, so you couldn't even see me. But basically all I did was get a pot of boiling water and just hold the boot in there until it softened up, and then it took me like 4 times, but I finally got it in. So anyways, let's throw this thing on the 4-wheeler. I'm like at the point now where it's like I don't even want to work on this thing because I fought it so hard trying to get this dang carb on here. And I might have ruined my reeds. You might be able to tell from there being plastics now that I've started to put this thing back together, and that is because I'm about to leave, so I'm kind of rushing right now. But if you look up there, you'll also see that I put the stock throttle back on, and that is because the TRX 90 throttle didn't have enough throw to actually open the slide all the way. I had to modify the stock cable to get it to work with the key and carb, so let me show you what exactly I did to make that work. I was lucky enough to have a practice cable, as in like a spare that I could practice with. So all I did was I came in and I just very gently sanded this down until it fit into the actual cable holder in the slide. So, I mean, that's pretty much all there is to it. It's pretty simple. Just take it slow. Don't take off too much material. Just I would do a couple passes, then check, a couple passes, check. It's pretty simple. Well, that's all I have for you today. I'm really excited to try these mods out. And if you don't know it yet and you're not on the Facebook groups, we're actually having a 400 meetup in October. It's October 15th through 18th. And hopefully we're gonna have some really cool machines there. We'll hopefully have a Power Max, at least a few Power Maxes there. And if you don't know what a Power Max is, this is a Power Max. And if you don't know what they are, they make an absolute crazy amount of horsepower. So I'll have a video on this here soon, so you have that to look forward to. But anyways, that's all I have for you. October 15th through 18th, you guys should come out. It's at Little Sahara, Oklahoma. It'll be really cool. Same weekend as 250R Takeover, so there's gonna be lots of cool machines there. But anyways, if you did enjoy the video, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one.